From the course Islamic Finance. Today, my group and I will bring the topic about Islamic financial system in Singapore. As the introduction, I will talk about the introduction of Islamic finance and the history of Islamic finance growth in Singapore. The Islamic financial system is a financial system based on the Quran and the Sunnah, which has been gradually developed since the time of Prophet Muhammad. Subsequently, the system was improved and developed in line with the times. Characteristic of Islamic financial system is the activities must be accompanied by mutual consent and the Islamic values such as qana'ah, which means simplicity, and the second, sincerity, the third, truthfulness, and fourth, consideration. And most importantly, are free from all prohibitions, including usury, garau, slander, oppression, fraud, waste, and abuse. And they are stated that Islamic finance has three basic tenets, which is Tawhid, concept of property, and help aid. Talk about the history of Islamic finance in Singapore. The development of the country in Sharia compliant finance has started as early as 1991, when Amanah Saham Mendaki was founded. And in 1995, Singapore successfully launched its very first takaful product, which was offered by the Keppel Insurance Company. In 2005, Singapore's then Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong has announced the government's intention of making the city-state as the hub of Islamic finance. Singapore has been refining its regulatory framework and tax structures over the years. The initiatives include granting of a 5% concessionary tax rate for income derived from Sharia-compliant fund management, lending, and insurance and reinsurance. Okay. Last but not least, Singapore has also become a full member of Islamic Financial Service Board (IFSB) in 2005. Prior of becoming the full member, the city-state only acts as an observer for IFSB from 2003 until 2004.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I start with my presentation, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nurizati binti Nurdin. So let's move on to the asset in Singapore. First, total asset in Islamic banking industry in Singapore has exceeded $2 trillion for worldwide. Next, the other asset in Singapore is Islamic fund under management worth $4.37 billion. In addition, assets in Singapore have grown 73% since 2010 with higher demand Islamic capital activities, with outstanding Sukuk issuance reached 3.8 billion Singapore in 2014. Furthermore, Singapore is also have the largest Islamic real estate investment trust (IREITs) in the world, and it has been growing over 22%, that equivalent 1.0 billion Singapore dollars. Last but not least, the other assets in Singapore is takaful. This takaful industry in Singapore currently held 500 million Singapore and worth assets since September 1995. for governance in Singapore is Restoration of Muslim Law, AMLA, in 1966. The AMLA 1966 enactment would later formulate a body that oversees the activities of Muslim affairs such as Wakaf and Zakat. Second, the activities of Islamic in Singapore should be reflected on the Mass Islamic Guideline, which acts as the basic guidance on the Islamic banking product and services offered in the country. Last, the Islamic banking products and services in Singapore will not constitute on what is termed as Sharia approved, since there is no such committee that observe the activities run by the IFIs, and such provisions are absent.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Viviani binti Nasir. I would like to talk about Islamic institution in Singapore. There are 4 Islamic institutions in Singapore, which is Baitul Mal, Zakat, Islamic Financial Institution, Mosque Building, and Mendaki Fund. For the first one, Baitul Mal. Baitul Mal is an institution which acts as a trustee for Muslim. It looks after properties that leader of Muslim public might profit from. In Singapore, the Baitul Mal is governed by the Islamic Religious Council of Singapore, MUIS. The second one is Zakat. Zakat is an Islamic finance concept that refers to the requirement for individuals to devote a certain proportion of their wealth each year for charitable causes. The third one is Islamic Financial Institution. The largest Islamic financial institution in Singapore is Islamic Banking. Islamic Banking is a worldwide financial company that retains Sharia rules and align with Islamic moral value. The last one is Mosque Building and Mendaki Fund. And this is an institution that dedicated to cash wakaf in Singapore. The formation of Mosque Building and Mendaki Fund, MBMF, was exclusive only for Muslims in Singapore. Next, banking. Singapore is one of the newest countries that seek opportunity for the Islamic banking activities. The city-state island, however, already has established its reputation as one of the leading global financial center, which can be traced back as early as the British settlement. The development of Islamic Bank in Singapore began when the senior Minister of Singapore, Goh Chok Tong, pledged to turn Singapore into a center for Islamic finance service. As for 2013, there are 15 banks in Singapore that offer Sharia-compliant products such as OCBC, HSBC, and CIMB. In 2015, Singapore only existing full-fledged Islamic bank has been seized by the parent company, DBS Bank. Singapore has the capability to execute a sound Islamic financial system since it has an excellent political stability, legal system, efficient regulator regime, and solid financial infrastructure. In the recent World-Best Islamic Financial Institution, Singapore Maybank Islamic was announced as the winner for the Islamic Financial Institution Service in the country. The product offered by the Islamic Bank in Singapore can be categorized into 4 main categories, which is depository, property financing, auto finance, and term financing. Despite being one of the most recognized financial centers in the world, Singapore is still in the developing phase of becoming the Islamic financial center as aspired by the leader of the country.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day everyone. Happy Eid Mubarak. My name is Nur Shalina Najla binti Jumain, BG181102234, and I'm from Group K. So, today I'm going to share about sukuk and takaful in Singapore. As we know, takaful is a cooperative system of repayment in case of loss, organized as an Islamic or Sharia compliance alternative to conventional insurance, which takaful proponents believe contains provident riba and gharar. Takaful in Singapore operates under the concept of ILP, that is, investment linked product, which falls under the Singapore Insurance Act. Takaful is one of the pioneer Islamic financial product in Singapore that aspect as early 1995. The difference between Takaful and ILP conventional products are the existence of Tabarruk funds. There are three companies that provide Takaful policy in Singapore, including HSBC Insurance, NTUC Income, and United Overseas Insurance. Suku. Suku refers to certificate of equal value, which are proof of undivided ownership or investment in properties based on the Sharia value and definition approved by Sharia Advisory Council. Here I provide the timeline of Suku issuance in Singapore. It started from 2001, that is Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura, that is MUIS, followed by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, that is MAS, in 2009. Then they got Sabana Rate in 2010, Singapore Sukuk in 2011 and 2012, Axiata Group in 2012, and the last one is Kagamas in 2015. There are four types of suku, that is Musyakara suku, Al-Hijara suku, Istimar suku, and Wakala suku. Musyakara suku. In the case of Musyakara suku, the suku holder, that is investor, are the owners of the joint ventures, properties, or business operation, and thus they have the right to share their incomes. For Al-Ijara suku, the basic principle of Ijara is that investor, that is suku holder, are the capital provider of the assets and are entitled to a return when the asset is leased. For Istimar suku, the underlying pool of asset can be comprised of istisna, mubarak, as well as ijara contract. And the last one is wakala suku, is an arrangement under which a person authorizes another person, which is usually an attorney or the watchdog, to operate on the behalf of the former on the basis of negated terms and conditions as long as he or she is alive. So, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Elza Israini binti Muhammad Ibni, BG 1811010.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Elza Israini and I'm going to present Singapore's market and also Singapore's zakat or wakaf. First things first, I want to talk about Singapore's market. Singapore, through the Monetary Authority of Singapore or MAS, has developed Islamic financial products to cater the global demand of the Sharia compliant products. There are four types of Islamic market in Singapore. The first one is Islamic money market, which is unlike the conventional market. Islamic market does not allow any practices of usury, but instead the only profit rate is allowed and it must be fixed. The second one is Islamic bond market, which is, we call it as sukuk. The first sukuk that was issued by the country are ijara, based sukuk, leasing, in which the returns from the sukuk are in the method of periodical payment. The third one is Islamic stock market, There are three top Sharia-compliant companies in Singapore that was listed by SGX, which is Singapore Exchange, is the Singapore Telecommunication, Hong Kong Land Capitals and the Capital Lands. The last one is Islamic Real Estate Investment Trust, which is IREIT. To boost up their country competitiveness, MAS or Monetary Authority Singapore has issued their first Islamic REIT through Sabana REIT that are now consist of 22 properties, which was currently valued as 1.22 billion Singapore dollar, making it the world's largest Islamic REIT in the world. Next is Singapore Zakat or Wakaf. Zakat is an obligatory contribution made by Muslims as ordained by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. In Singapore, the Zakat institution was governed by the State Islamic Religious Council. MUIS, Zakat and Fitrah Committee are headed by the president of MUIS, Mufti, and the community's leaders from the mosque and also the Muslim organizations. The practice in Zakat in Singapore was accordance with the Muslim law in Section 68, in which provides that MUIS has the power to collect zakat and fitrah payable in Singapore. So, the Muslim communities in Singapore has to pay their zakat to reduce the wealth gap disparities between an Islamic individuals and societies. Next is Wakaf in Singapore. Wakaf is an Islamic endowment where in Singapore, Muslims are required to contribute a stipulated amount to the fund on monthly basis, where the contribution is deducted from their monthly basis or monthly salary by their employer and channeled through the CPF or Central Provident Fund, which acts as the collecting agent for the contribution. For now, there are currently a total of 101 Wakaf, 88 are managed by MUIS, and the remaining 33 are managed by the respective trustee. That's all for me for market and zakat wakaf, and we are going to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amir Faris bin Ali Azhar and I'm from HE33. So today I would like to talk on the prospect of Islamic finance in Singapore. Okay, now when we look into the prospect of Islamic finance in Singapore, this is something that we will like to talk into because the only local Islamic bank, the Islamic Bank of Asia, has been stalled for several years, and the parent company, DBS Bank, has been incorporated the company, in which there is no local Islamic bank in Singapore. But does that mean that Islamic finance in Singapore is failing? So this is why Singapore has targeted Malaysia as the investment and economic partner, considering that Malaysia have more expertise in the Islamic financial industry. Despite the failing of the Islamic banking in Singapore, it doesn't mean that Islamic finance as a whole is failing. Instead, Singapore has initiated a program that was based on Sharia compliant ijarah, selling and leasing structure, and is a Sharia compliant equivalent of Singapore Government Securities (SGS). Singapore continues to show the progress in adapting Islamic financial system and products, which has more room for the budding industry to grow. This is why Singapore Exchange SGX has introduced the Sharia Index for Muslim investors or anyone who would like to partake in the Islamic financial growth. As a result, Singapore has introduced an integrated planning called the Umbrella Strategy, which is responsible in the context of investing from environmental, social and governance (ESG) that will trigger an excellent investment turnout. As a conclusion, Singapore is somehow a relatively new market player in the industry. Even though the domestic market is quite small and there's insufficient public awareness about Islamic finance, Singapore can emphasize on another market and not only focusing on IREITs, as there is more to explore in the fields of Islamic finance. As a global financial center, Singapore surely has enough ingredients in what it takes to be part of the Islamic economy empowerment. So that's all from me. Thank you.